Willemsen is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupilis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin van Lukener certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable. The opening round kicked off in Lommel, Belgium, in typical going. The deep sand, as normal, proved to be a real challenge, and in these conditions, even the best are caught out sometimes. One of those top guns to fall victim was Julian Veldman.
We had a big crash on the place where we passed Daniel Willemsen in the first heat. We touched him with the sidecar wheel on his rear wheel, and it was a crash with full speed, so it was a big crash.
Another crew in trouble were Bax and Stupilis.
We made a crash, we made a pretty bad flip, we lose so much positions. 2 laps before end we are in the 6th position and we tried to catch Giraud and Sanders, but I don't remember what exactly happened, but I fell out once again. In end of the day, we win the 2nd moto, and that was a great feeling again.
Then it was off to Talavera de la Reina in Spain for round 2. Victory went to Valentin Giraud and his new German passenger, Andres Haller.
I won my first heat and that was awesome. And yeah, it's really nice to do that, and it gives a feeling of, yeah, I want more of this.
But there was no more. In race 2, with smoke and steam everywhere on the final lap, it was game over.
We was on the way to the podium, but on the last lap we had an engine problem.
Well, he was not on his own. Arne Dierkens and Robbie Bax were also in the wars.
After the big table jumps, we want to try to brake, but there was nothing, so yeah, then you're always too late. And then we got a big crash actually, that was real.
We lose 10 points, but finally on the end of the day I think we need to be happy. We are again on the podium on a sand track.
That was really cool, and it was for us a long time ago that we had a double victory. Yeah, you know, we don't want to give that away anymore.
Then it was off to Kremlin in the Czech Republic for round 4 in very wet and muddy conditions. There was no sun all weekend, but there was a shining light in the form of Marvin van Lukener. He and Ben van den Boogaard were overall winners here last year, and they did it again. And that victory gave them a 6-point advantage over Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis, who were penalised in race 2 for breaking the noise regulations with the split exhaust. Hermans rode well. Willemsen, 2 strong rides from row 2. Davy Sanders up there as well. Julian Veldman did not compete because he's still injured. Koiben distinguished himself very well indeed. All in all, it was a brilliant Czech Grand Prix. Everyone loved it.
So welcome to a very sunny Ukraine. It's a lovely day here. We are in Kiev, BUCHA, which is just 1 hour northwest of the capital city, Kiev. Beautiful city, one of the oldest cities in Eastern Europe with a population of almost 3 million. The track here is just over 1,500 metres in length. It's fairly short. It's fairly technical as well, and the going is a little soft. It's a sandy soil. It will cut up. They have watered it well to try and keep the dust down, so hopefully we can have some cracking racing for you. The starting list then for the first race of the day. Koen Hermans, Nicolas Moset will go to the line first. Arne Dierkens, Robbie Bax will second. Marvin van Luken and Ben van den Boogaard for third. Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis for fourth. 5 will be Davy Sanders 5, Van Werven 6, Varric 7, Williamson 8, Kubin 9, Kinge 10, Cooch 11, Santimans 12, Horrocks 13, Compilati 14, Jake Brown 15, 16 Lesnar, 17 Normack, Peter 18, Brown 19, Glishenko, Nemilostoya, Shogdoisti, and unfortunately Valentin Giraud will not start. As I say there, unfortunately Valentin had a big crash yesterday, went to the hospital for precautionary checks. They found nothing. He tried to ride this morning, but unfortunately found the pain too much. So another blow for the young Frenchman, but we will see him hopefully on Promenade. As we go there then to the reigning red plate holders, reigning world champions, Marvin van Luik and Ben van der Bogart. Next to them is Arne Deerkins and Robbie Bax, the number 10 machine. Had a good ride yesterday, won their heat. Koen Hermans, Nicolas Musset, the Dutch-French pairing. Again, they won their heat yesterday. Got out in front and disappeared basically. Next to them, Etienne Bax, Casper Stupilis, the 82 machine. Had a reasonably good ride yesterday, tried to pressure Arne Deerkins, but unfortunately wasn't able to do so. Next there then is Davy Sanders and Larry Kunas, the number 9 machine. Again, gated well yesterday, strong gators. Hopefully they can have a good gate today. Next to them is the lovable Gert van Werven and Peter Bjonk, the Dutch pairing on the TM machine, the only TM engine machine here. Next to them is Justin Kubin, Dion Riekman, the number 17 machine. The youngsters rode well yesterday, looking to give another good ride today. Next to them are the Englishmen, the top Englishman from yesterday, George Kinge. Young Lewis Gray had a fantastic ride yesterday. Lewis doing a fantastic job in the sidecar for George this year. And next to them are the Cooch cousins, Christophe and Maxime Cooch, the Swiss pairing. And as I said earlier, this start straight is fairly short. They go into a right-hander, go back then to the start line. That's Kurt Varric, the Estonian, with Laos Dadas, the lovable Latvian. Next to them then is 10 times world champion Daniel Williamson with Frenchman Luc Rostink. Next to them then is Christophe Santimans and Kostas Balakas. Reasonably good ride yesterday. Next to them is Horch, Pavel and Martin Horch. Again, they rode reasonably well yesterday. Next to them is the number 18 machine of the Italian-French pairing, Zeno Compilati, Bastien Chopin. Yesterday he struggled in qualification with suspension settings. A little better this morning. Next to him then, young Jake Brown and Joe Millard. Jake Brown, the son of the Stuart Brown, Joe Millard of the famous Millard family from England. So we have 24 starters for you. The crowd here is fairly big. It was quite impressive yesterday, possibly one of the biggest crowds for a Saturday I've seen. And as you can see there, all vantage points are taken, and hopefully we can have some good racing. So we just wait now for the last couple to come to the line, 2 rows. The race director in the foreground there with the green flag. We'll wait for the OK from behind. So 15-second board up then, ladies and gentlemen, get yourselves ready. Let's have a cracking race. We have 30 minutes plus 2 laps then around this brilliant circuit here in BUCHA. Let's hope 5 seconds then. Here we go, wait for this gate to drop. And the gate drops then, and away they go up the hill then into this first right-hander. It looks like Arne Deerkins then. Arne Deerkins then in for the lead. Looks as though Williamson's in behind him, trying to get through there. So we have Deerkins, Williamson, Van Luikenen. Oh, there's a pile up there. So Arne Deerkins from Daniel Williamson, from Marvin Van Luikenen, from Etienne Bax as they go away towards the middle of the circuit into this right-hander. Deakins then out in front from Williamson, Van Lukenen, Bax there, the 82 machine. So as Deakins goes away down this ski jump into this fairly slow left-hander that then tightens to a 90-degree left-hander. Some of these corners are very tricky and very slow, as you can see them trying to get the power down early. So Deakins pops up over that jump. Williamson, Van Lukenen, Bax, that's your top four as they go away to the bottom end of the circuit. So they watered fairly well this morning to keep the dust down. Deakins then out in front, clean vision, clean goggles. Williamson there with Rostink working hard. Ben van der Bogart then comes back across the chair there on the number one machine. Bax and Stupilis in there also. So Deakins then into the waves for the first time. The riders behind Van Lukenen and is through then on Williamson. So Marvin Van Lukenen then has now got the shirt tails to chase of Arne Deakins. Varric goes through there in 5th place. So Van Lukenen now then up into 2nd. Chase down the leaders. The number 10 machine of Arne Deakins, the young Belgian. Looks as though Bax tried to go the inside as well, but as they cop over this big tabletop in the middle, Williamson there holding Bax up slightly. So Bax tries then round the outside, decides to come back through the inside of him and squares him up, gets the drive then to pop over for 3rd place. So Bax now in 3rd. Little bit of a gap between him and Marvin Van Lukenen. So they go through, Van Lukenen through, Bax through, Williamson through. Next is Varric, the number 7 machine. Bax pops over that little jump. Williamson then there. Kurt Varric there, and Herman's in behind Varric. So all the top title contenders are in this fight for another 27 minutes. As I said earlier, the heat here is around the 24, 25 maybe degrees. The humidity is up also. So these drivers and passengers will be working hard there. As you see Williamson trying to keep that machine going forward. Varric also there trying to gain an advantage, but is also coming under pressure from Koen Hermans and Nicolas Marset, the Dutch-French pairing. Oh, and Williamson made a mistake there, and the sidecar came up. That allowed Varric through and Hermans through. So Williamson losing 2 places there. That's very unlike Williamson to make a mistake, and he has Davy Sanders in then behind him, the number 9 machine. So can Sanders pressurise him to make another mistake? As we have yellow flags, I'm not sure what's happened there. Looked like Van Lukenen maybe has made the mistake in the whoops. I will let you know as they come back through then. So Varric goes through, Hermans goes through, Williamson goes through the shot. So Bax is up into 2nd place then, so there must have been a problem from Van Lukenen. So Varric and Hermans there in shot. Varric riding the 4-stroke AMS engine, big jump over that tabletop. Yesterday they were struggling with the wind. The wind was directly in their faces as they were jumping over that big jump. So, can Varric try and hold off Hermans? It's a big ask, but we have a long way to go then. So, Hermans, Musset, the number 2 machine, back to backs now. Then there's the 7 machine of Varric, the 2 machine there to Hermans. You can see the back wheel bucking in a rut. Some of these ruts are fairly deep and starting to form. We've already had a quad race today, so the circuit has started to cut up slightly and a few bumps. You can see this very slow left-hander, the passenger working back across into the sidecar. Laura Staders for Kurt Varric. Nicolas Musset, the Frenchman for Hermans. So, as they drop down towards the middle of the circuit there, Varick then going slightly wide. Hermans tries to come inside and get the power on, and has managed to get the power on to go round the outside and shuts the door in Varick. So Varick loses a spot there. So now Hermans is in the chase to hunt down Bax. So drop up over that little hip jump then into the whoops. Flags are still there. They are opting to just drop through singularly through those whoops. Yesterday they were managing to jump through. Today you can see they are not. So Hermans then up the hill as we go back to backs through the shot. We wait for Hermans to drop over this jump towards the finish line to start another lap. So the gap between Deakins and Stupilis is just over 4 seconds. The gap between him and Hermans is another couple of 3 seconds. Then Varick, then Sanders, Van Werven 6, Williamson 7, Compilati 8, 9 is Santimans, 10 is Kubin, Cooch is 11, and the first left chair is Stuart Brown, the 888. As we look at Marvin van Luken and Ben van der Bogart, so whether they had a tumble down the bottom end of the circuit in the whoops, I think it must have been. So now Marvin, can he get his head together and chase and make some points, salvage some points in this race? So the championship is only 6 points between him and Bax. Big landing, heavy landing there, just looks over to make sure Ben is there. As they go out of shot, just drop down this little hip jump down to the bottom as we go back to Van Luken, and I will see where he is as we come through. Again, that chair wheel just pops up. Marvin not happy there. Ben just in the wrong place. Allowed that chair wheel to come up, and that's unusual for the first 4-time world champion Ben van der Bogart. As he comes and chases, he is in 15th place. Hort is there. The left chair of Kinge was just in there as well. So, as we look at the battle here, Marvin van Luken then coming on to the tail of these 13th, 14th, 15th places. So, as we look there, looks as though Cooch has had a problem. Van Luken then goes round the outside of Horch, so gains 2 places there. So whether Cooch has had a problem, I don't know. Van Luken then down the inside of Horch. He now has the shirt tails of the young Englishman, George Kinge, to chase. So, as we said earlier, a slight mistake in the whoops. So, can they now regain their head, regain their composure, and make up as many places as they possibly can? So we go back then. Santimans to 16. The 1-1-1 of Williamson. Stuart Brown, the left-hand chair, is in the mix there as well. So we go back to the leaders then. Deakins is under pressure from Bax. Bax again tries that inside line. Unfortunately, Deakins shuts the door on him, and Bax has to then just sit there and wait. So now Bax will follow him down into this tight left-hander at the bottom here. Will he square him up on the inside line? No, goes for the same rut. He's just happy just to sit in behind Deakins and perhaps watch his lines for a couple as they come back towards us, and a back market will come into play. Hopefully he's seen them and moved out, which he has. Thank you, sir. Tight. Right-hander again. Deakins working hard, trying to shut the door there on Bax. Bax loses a couple of bike lengths to him. Comes down the inside. As you can see, that's fairly soft there on the inside. But Bax then trying everything he knows. The playbook is out to try and overtake the youngster. Deakins then opting this time to just drop through these whoops singly over the tunnel jump, down behind the start then to start the next lap. So Bax not quite close enough this time as they come up the start straight, over the little hip jump, another little ski jump into this right-hander. Bax again then goes for the inside line this time. Has he got the power? Side by side then over the big tabletop. Oh, a big jump from Deakins. Bax backed out of that one. Just opted to jump short. Deakins opted to jump long, and it paid off for the youngster. So the youngster now has a little bit of breathing room, but cannot let his guard down, as Bax will try everything he can. Tries the inside line this time. Not quite enough. So, as they drop over that hip jump again, Bax goes for the inside line this time. Unfortunately not able to, but as he managed to get the power down this time, alongside, drops back in behind Deakins. As I say, some of these corners are fairly tight, fairly slow. Again, Bax then looks down the inside. Deakins has shut the door on him, so he has to stay in behind him. Bax then drops into the inside line, manages to get the power on, but the two lines meet. Again, Bax has had to just shut off behind him. Deakins jumps long. So, as they drop away down that little ski jump, down to the far end of the circuit, into this tight right-hander. Again, Deakins goes close. Bax tries to come around the outside, unable to this time. Deakins, again, tries the inside, but Bax goes for that further inside line, and they're alongside. Bax has got it this time. Bax has managed to get inside him this time. Good move from Bax. So, now, Etienne Bax, Casper Stuplis into the lead. The young Arnie Deakins, Robbie Bax now will try and hold on to Bax's shirt tails and keep his second place. So, the WSP Zabel Wilvo Nastern Monster Energy backed machine of Etienne Bax, Casper Stuplis into the lead. 17 and a half minutes of this race to go. It will be a long race in the heat this time. Bax jumps long, goes for a tear-off. Goes for a tear-off just to get another clear vision there. Deakins has not let him go, managing to try and stay onto his shirt tails, but as you can see there in shot, Hermans is coming. So now Deakins has to compose himself before he comes under too much pressure from Koen Hermans. As we look at Bax go through the shot, Deakins goes through the number 10 machine, goes through the shot. There is Hermans. So Hermans has made up quite a bit of ground on Deakins as they drop down the hill into this fairly slow left-hander. Tightens at the bottom here. Two ruts. Deakins opting and Hermans opting for the same line, and then this tricky little right-hander again. Hermans tries to get the power down, unfortunately can't quite get the power down quick enough. Drop off here. You see Hermans then just dropping to the outside and try and square Deakins up, but Deakins comes nice and tight. Hermans then tries to squirt this machine up the inside. Can't quite make it this time. Hermans then opts for that inside line for where Bax overtook him on the previous lap. So Bax out in the lead, a couple of seconds gap, and Hermans goes for the outside. Drops over the outside of Deakins there. Deakins just left the door open slightly and Hermans was through. So Hermans and Musset, can they chase down Bax? So the Dutch-French pairing then up into second place. Deakins looks as though he's got quite a gap between him and fourth place as they come through the finish line to start another lap. So Musset is, Hermans and Musset are just under 3 seconds behind Bax. A second or so between him and Deakins. Daders then is into fourth, about 6 seconds back, and Davy Sanders is maybe another 10 seconds back there for fifth place. So as we watch now, Hermans, can he find somewhere where he is quicker than Bax? Bax this morning in timed training was second to Marvin, and I will keep my eye on the screens to let you know where Marvin is up to. So as we go back and watch Arnie Deakins, the young Belgian driver, and the young Robbie Bax course, Arne at the Nations last year had a big accident, and there you can see Hermans is closing on Bax. So there is possibly somewhere where Bax is slightly quicker than Hermans is slightly quicker than Bax. Sorry, excuse me. I said I'd changed my teeth from yesterday and I couldn't find my new ones. So Bax then tight inside. Hermans tight inside line also is closing the ground. Back marker in the way. Hopefully he manages to stay out the way of Hermans. They both go for that same line. You can see it's fairly deep. Thank you 777 for moving out the way. Bax pops over the little hip jump. Hermans pops over. Again, as you can see them just dropping through these whoop jumps singly. Yesterday they were doubling in and doubling out, where we've had a bit of water this morning. They are unable to do so. So Bax then up to start another lap. We have 13.5 minutes of this race to go. So the temperature will be rising of these boys with all this kit that they have to wear. I was speaking to a couple of the passengers and drivers yesterday whilst watching some of the free training, etc. There is a lot of wind around, but when they are riding, they are saying that there is not a lot of wind to get them to cool themselves down. So now Bax then with Stupilis, the Latvian passenger, working hard just to try and break Hermans if possibly. But Hermans is managing to hang on to his shirt tails. So Bax now has the Dutchman, the young Dutchman, Koen Hermans, finished second in the Grand Prix standings last year, sorry, excuse me. So Bax then down into this slow left-hander. Hermans opting to follow the same lines. Again, you can see these two couple of corners here are very, very tricky for the riders to try and get enough power on, as Hermans then looks for the inside line. Bax then down into the very bottom of the circuit. Again, almost chair wheel up. Stupilis had to lift himself up, otherwise he would have been sat on that bank, and Bax could have possibly been on that machine on his own. But Bax goes for the inside line and struggles to get the drive through. Hermans now then starting to put Etienne Bax under pressure. Can Bax hold the youngster off? So they drop through them whoops then over the tunnel jump behind the start line, and then come up the start-finish straight, where they will get their boards from the pit crews to let them know who, where and what is happening. So Bax drops over, Hermans drops over. As you can see, the gap has stayed the same for the past couple of laps, but Hermans in places is a little quicker. So big tabletop in the middle, big jump through. Unfortunately, the pair of them had to back out of that because of the tail ender. The last thing you want to do is jump and unfortunately land on somebody. Again, Hermans tries to come for the inside line, not able to get the power down. So again, resetting the sights, as you can see now, coming under quite a few back markers. There are blue flags being waved. Blue flag means that you must hold your line and allow these quicker riders through. So Bax, Stupilis, Hermans, Musset, the young Frenchman, world champion 2015 with Etienne Bax, of course. So Musset will know Bax well, as Hermans will know Bax well through the Dutch Championship. So drop into this very slow left-hand turn at the bottom of the circuit there, trying to get the power down. Again, the bumps are very deep. Hermans then tries the inside line, unfortunately not able to get the power down, had to just back out of that. Bike pitched slightly as they drop away then down into this bottom right-hander again. Again, Etienne Bax trying to cut that line, trying to square the line up to make the corner as short as possible and as easy as possible. Now he has opted for the outside line, but you can see there's some deep mud which just stops these machines dead. These machines possibly only have, I don't know, the suspension on these is not a lot. The ground clearance is not a great deal, as you can see. So Bax then managed to eke out a little bit of a gap between him and Hermans as they come into this big sweeping right-hander back up the hill then to start another lap. 9 minutes to go for Bax and his Latvian passenger Stuplis there. You can see just dropping his inside arm to bring some more weight across onto the sidecar. Big high jump then again from Hermans. Again, whether that wind is affecting them as they jump, and the bottom of the sidecar, if you like, is acting as a sail, so they have to be very careful they don't get it too front high as then they come into this right-hander. As you can see, the rut starting to form here on these slower corners as Hermans over the ski jump up onto this little plateau at the far end of the circuit. You can see the crowd there enjoying this race. So Bax has managed to eke out maybe a few bike lengths you see there. So whether Hermans made a slight mistake somewhere, can he put the pressure back onto Bax? If Bax again come into the same line, as you can see, the bike trying to go forward, they're trying to get the power on, but they're having to just ease up on the power and feed it in gently. As you can see there also that the ground is starting to become polished, what we call a blue groove. So we wait for the third place man there. There is Arne Deerkens then into shot with Robbie Bax for third place. Starting to come under pressure from the lovable and likeable Estonian Kurt Varek, again with the Latvian passenger Lauris Dailers. Of course, Lauris rode for his brother for many years. So back to the front again. Looks as though Hermans has just gained slightly, maybe a little deceptive for me on screen. So Bax Stuplis through then, up the start straight to start another lap. Hermans then trying to hunt his countryman down to take the win. Just over 7 minutes to go. As I said, the heat here is quite high and the humidity is high as well, so these drivers will be sweating profusely. Of course, there's not a lot of time between the two races, so they have to make sure they hydrate, put back in all the lost salts, etc. As we go back there to the screen, some of the back markers coming through, and there is Marvin van Luken and Ben van der Bogart. I will let you know where they are as they go through the screen. Stuart Brown then through there, Gert van Werven through, and then Marvin van Luken. So van Luken is up to 7th place. So van Luken is up to a couple of places there, and looks as though he's going to put van Werven under pressure then as they come across that big tabletop. Of course, they're all fighting for points, and Marvin certainly can't afford to lose too many points to Etienne Bax. So Stuart Brown, Josh Chamberlain just go through the left-hand chair. Gert van Werven and Peter Bjonk, resplendent in the Jopa riding gear. Brown then, the Macclesfield flyer, the carpenter from England. Gert van Werven, Peter Bjonk, and the leg there from Marvin just dropped off the foot peg, just got caught in a rut there slightly, lost a little bit of ground. So 3 in a row there. Left hand chair, and Stuart Brown unfortunately gets that outfit stuck. Gert van Werven is able to pounce, but Brown comes back through the inside. So Brown unfortunately made a little mistake there, beached the outfit, just stopped him dead. Van Werven was able to pounce, but now Brown comes back into the lead of this trio. Van Luken then tries to round the outside. Van Werven shuts the door. Marvin then decides to come through the inside line. Again, Stuart Brown hits a big hole, and Marvin tries to take advantage as we go back to Robbie Bax and Arne Deerkins, the number 10 machine, the WSP Zabel. Lonely place in third at the moment, but riding well, the youngster. As I said, last year had a horrific accident in the Nations. As we go back to this battle again, Marvin van Leeuwen then has got up 2 places in front of Brown and Van Werven. So can Marvin now gap these couple and try and make a few more places? And can Brown then, the Englishman, the left-hand chair, try and make some ground? Try and stay on the back of Marvin van Leeuwen to make some ground further up the field. As you see, this obviously right-hand chair and a left-hand chair. As we saw earlier on, Brown managed to beach his machine back to Williamson and Davy Sanders. Van Leeuwen then is catching these 4, 5 and 6, is catching the number 1 machine now. Has got Davy Sanders in his sight. So can Van Leeuwen catch Davy Sanders, the number 9 machine? There is only second and a bit between them. You see Marvin then opting to stay out of all the deep stuff there where they got stuck, where he saw Brown get stuck earlier. So now Van Leeuwen then is starting to gain on the back, the shirt tails of the young Belgian Davy Sanders, with Larry Kunis in the chair with him this year. Of course, Larry rode with his brother last year, the Finnish passenger. Again, there you see Marvin just trying to find that decent line, but unfortunately got a little bit stuck. But now Sanders then under pressure from the reigning world champion, the red plate holder also, as they opt to jump through those whoops. Over the tabletop jump. Behind the start then they will get the signs from their pit board. As you see, Williamson then is the first one in your picture. Sanders then goes through the number 9. Van Leeuwen then the number 1 machine, as they drop over the top of the the finish line into this right hand, and Williamson is pulled off to the side. Something is wrong with Daniel. So I don't know what is the matter with Daniel there, but that's another spot then for Van Leeuwen. So Van Leeuwen then up to 6th. I said earlier, he needs to try and regain as many places. He cannot afford to let Bax go. And we go back to the leader again. We go back to Bax at the front. The distance between him and Hermans seem to have stalled out. Don't seem to be gaining anything, and Bax doesn't seem to be moving away as he tentatively through those whoops. Do not work until I make a mistake like Van Leeuwen did earlier on in the race. We have just over 1 minute of this race to go. So Bax, Stupless then. 3 laps of this race left, if I have my figures correct. Hermans then into the shot. The resplendent number 2 machine there. Oh, big jump from Bax as they drop down to the bottom turn. Try and get the driver up over this little hip jump. Some of these jumps are fairly abrupt as they drop into this tight little right hand. You can see the ruts there forming. The sidecar just momentarily hitting a little bump and popping up. Now then, can Bax hold Hermans off for another couple of laps, or will we see an entertaining end to this race? So Bax drops away then, Hermans drops away into this slowish left-hander into the middle of the circuit. Both of them opting that very outside line. Seems to be the better line forming again. as they come up over onto that little plateau. As you can see, the lighter soil there becoming to be polished, what we call blue groove, which will make it difficult to get traction. So backs into that corner. This gap still seems to remaining the same. These front pairing are a fair distance between the third place man. So 1 and 2 go away from you in shot, and Deerkins and Varick. Looks as though Varick now is putting Deerkins under pressure. So can the youngster Belgian hold the Estonian? And he's made a mistake. Made a mistake there, allowed Varick through then, so Varick now up into third place. So Deerkins, whether he's tired, slightly made a mistake, the chair came up, whether it grabbed hold of some dirt and stopped him a little bit. So Varick now, the Estonian and Latvian pairing, up into third place. That's his highest position finish this year. He had his first podium, I think, last year, if my memory serves me right, in Lommel. So the Estonian then, from the young Belgium, the 7 machine from the 10 machine. Varick opting to jump short. Riding the AMS engined WSP this year. Of course, the big AMS 4-stroke, built and designed by Glenn Woodman for many years, has built engines for these top riders. As we look back down to backs then, 2-lap board being shown. So wheel backs now just start to ease the pace a little. Can't ease the pace too much because he knows Herman's is still there. Just a slight mistake will cause you to lose the race, and you don't want that in these latter stages. So as you can see, them all opting to go very wide out of all the loose dirt up over this little hip jump, then down to the whoop section, the bottom end of the circuit, over the tunnel jump behind the start gate to start their next and penultimate lap. So 1 lap to go this time for backs. Stupilis. Will Hermans just let him go now, or will he try and put more pressure on to make a last minute attack? So backs opting to go short, playing safe to the bottom of this turn. He had a quick look over his shoulder just now just to see where Hermans was. So there you can see, looks as though Hermans just backed it off slightly then. Backs the number 82, the Wilvo Nastan Monster Energy backed machine. The riders resplendent in their Acerbis riding gear. Acerbis riding gear, laser helmets, Scott goggles. We thank you, gentlemen, for supplying this riding gear to keep these boys safe and on these tracks that we do. So final half a minute or so for backs. He will be listening out for his machine, making sure he hits all the right marks, hits all the right lines. Last thing he wants to do is beach this machine and Herman's pounce. So drop into the bottom end of the circuit. Nice and tight this time. It's the power on. You can see the gap there then. It looks as though Herman's is just slightly backed the pace off. Good finish. Score points. We have another race to come at 4 o'clock, so please stay tuned as backs then pops up over that little hip jump into the whoops for the last time of this first race here in BUCHA in Ukraine, as Bax, Stupius then past the pit boards. Bax, Stupius take the win then. So that's a race win for Bax and Stupius. Hermans Musset through in second. As we wait then for the third place man, should be Varick. As we see then Bax, Stupius acknowledging the crowd as we wait patiently then for the next place man. And it is Varick. So Varick and Dadas take third place. Brilliant ride for the Estonian Latvian pairing. Fourth place then for Deerkins. Brilliant ride for him. Led for best part of the race, I expect. Where he's not quite fit enough at the moment. Enough bike time, but it will come. So there's 1 and 2. From left to right, Stupius, Bax, Musset and Hermans. As we wait for the rest of the crews to go through. So we're still waiting for the timings to go through. So Marvin Van Luken and Ben van der Bogart got back up to 5th place. Stuart Brown then goes through in 6th. Van Werven then goes through for 7th. Davy Sanders through for 8th. So had a couple of mistakes towards the end there, dropped off the pace. As I said, it is hot here. The temperatures are up into the mid-20s. See the youngster, Hermans. Doesn't look as though he's just rode 30 minutes, does it? But trust me, they have. I said, please stay with us. We will be back with you for a second race at just before 4 o'clock. So, 9th went through was Compilati, Chopin's, good ride for them. Santamans and Bellakas go through for 10th. Good ride for the young Englishman George Kinge, Lewis Gray. Finished in 11th place and picking up some good points. So, as you can see, the last tail enders coming through. So we await, possibly go to Yeva in the paddock shortly for an interview. I will leave you with views of the crowd. Well, as you can see, the trees there, the wind is fairly strong. As I said, the crews are saying that there's not a lot of air actually when you're riding. So that's a happy Estonian. I think it's only maybe his second time on the box in his career. So, of course, that helps Bax in the point standings. I will get you all the information. If there's any information that you require, you would like me to ask any questions, is there anything you would like to know, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'm on Instagram, Sidecar MX64. If there's anything that you wish to know, you would like to find out, a question that you want answered, then please do not hesitate to get in touch. Send me a photograph of you sat on your sofa with a beer. Even better. So Bax Stupius then will go up to the presentation at the top end of the circuit here. So there you are, the classification then. Etienne Bax, Casper Stupius for the win. Koen Hermans, Nicholas Musset for 3rd. Kurt Varick, Dadas for 3rd. Deerkins and Bax for 4th. Marvin Van Luken and Ben van der Bogart for 5. Stuart Brown, Josh Chamberlain for 6. Gert van Werven, Peter Bunk for 7. 8th was Davy Sanders, Larry Kunas. 9th was Zeno Compilati, Bastian Chopin. Top 10, Christoph Santamans, Kostas Balakas. 11th, George Kinge, Lewis Gray. Justin Kubin, Dion Reitman for 12. Hawks Brothers for 13. 14 was Normac. 15 was Peter, 16 was Resner, 17 was Balastusis, 18 was Glushenko, 19 was Wojcicki, 20 was Daniel Williamson, so whether he had a problem, picked up a point for 20th. As though that was possibly all the finishers we had. So, podium girls. And your 1, 2, 3. As we wait for the heat presentation. As I said, please join us just before 4 o'clock. Please check timings, as we are 2 hours ahead of Greenwich Mean Time. So that would mean I think we are an hour in front of Central European time. But please check your timings. I'd hate for you to be sat there on the sofa an hour early drinking a beer than you need to be. So, as the crowd await these presentations, I will leave you to watch these scenes. I will try and organise some positions and the points going into the next heat for you, so I can give you those. So those that like to keep your scorecards or your scoring sheets up to date, so you can keep these points. As I said, there was only 6 points gap between Van Leukenen and Bax into this first race. Of course, Bax taking the win. Marvin finishing down in 5th place. He will be losing a hatful of points to Bax. So, partner Susie there is frantically working them out. So, thank you very much for watching this first race. We go to Jeva.
After the ceremony? No. Hi guys, the race 1 is over. It was amazing. And I have the race winner, Etienne Bax. Congratulations, Etienne. Not a great start for you, but you fought your way to the top. A few laps behind Arne, but you managed to get past, and I know it's a difficult track. You must be feeling great.
Yeah, it's great. You know, we struggled with the bike setup yesterday, and I must say, we worked almost till midnight last evening to make everything ready for the day, and it worked out so far. So I'm really happy with this win, and it gives confidence. And yeah, we had last week a lot of struggle, as we all know, and this is good. This is good for the confidence, and hopefully we can make a solid moto in Moto 2.
Well, congratulations and good luck.
So, you see the pass that Bax made on the youngster, Deerkins. And as you heard there, thank you, Ava, is our picked girl. Goes around and does all our interviews, etc. Thank you to Ava. You can hear there have been a few crews that have been struggling with setup this weekend. And of course we're here with the quads for the first time this year. We've got the first round of the European quads. So the ground changes. As you see, Bax then Stupilis on the top spot to take this race 1 winner. Second place for Nicholas Muset and Koen Hermans, and third place for Kurt Varek and Lauis Daders. That is your 1, 2, 3 for the first race. As I said, these guys will have just over the hour to try and recuperate, try and get a little bit of food on board, course try and replace the fluids that they've lost. So water, salt, tablets, anything else that they try and need to get back into their systems. So the Wilvonestan Monster Energy backed WSP Zabel of Etienne Bax Caspers 2+ for the win. We are using Ukrainian TV here this weekend. So now his dad is the first one to pop the cork on his champagne. Fair play to you, young man. You deserve the position. It's a good ride. So, I said, please stay, or please join back in with us in an hour or so. We hope to bring you a cracking second race. We have a couple of weeks off, or just over 2 weeks off then, I think, and we're in to Plomion in France. In Plomion in France, beautiful track. It's northern France, just a couple of hours from Calais. So those of you wish to go over and join us, please do come. We are unfortunately not live for this one, but there will be a highlight show. But please do come along and support all the teams and come and enjoy the atmosphere that is sidecar motocross. We're just waiting for another interview from Yeva.
I'm here with Koen Hermans. Congratulations, second place. Not a great start for you this time, but you fought your way up. How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, the start was not so good as yesterday, but I hope we can have a good start in the second moto. Yeah, we have to come from place 5 or 6, I think, and yeah, we see Verluchten a crash, and then we could also pass them, and then we could follow Bax, but yeah, we were at the same speed, so it's difficult to pass him. Yeah, and he had a good speed, and yeah, it was a nice battle to see, I think.
The track is looking a lot better, faster. Do you expect it to get even better for the next race?
Yeah, of course, the track is a lot better than this morning. It starts really bumpy. I think in the second motor it will be more bumpy, but I think it's good to ride.
Yeah, well, thank you and congratulations.
So thank you, Yeva. The interview there with the young Koen Hermans. Second place in this first race. Again, he gated reasonably well yesterday. Today, not so well. Had to fight his way through, which here is reasonably difficult, as we saw on screen during that race. It is. You certainly do have to line them up. So, championship classifications after that first race. Bax then takes first. Marvin van Leeuwen drops 3 points behind. Third then Koen Hermans, Nicholas Musset. Fourth Davy Sanders, Larry Kunis. 5 is Stuart Brown, Josh Chamberlain. 6 is Daniel Williamson, Luke Rostink. 7 Arne Deerkens, Robbie Bax. 8th Valentin Giraud, Andreas Haller. 9 Kurt Varick, Lauris Dahlers. 10th Zeno Compilati, Bastian Chopin. That's your top 10. 11th Feldman, of course he's not here. Justin Kubin 12, Van Werven 13, Sandsmans 14, 15 Cooch, 16 George Kinch, Lewis Gray, Jake Brown 17, 18 Heinzer and Betchart, they're not here. Copps is not here also, and Michael Hodges aren't also here. Horch brothers there 21, Buchel brothers there 22, they are not here either. Moulders is not here, Chanteloup not here. Yannick, Potsi, Rymans, Kolinec, Verhulst, and Resner is here, down in 30th in the World Champion standings. And as we go right the way down there to the 40th place for 2 points. So, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining us. Just over an hour, we'll be back with you. And please join us then. So from me now, from Ukraine, bye-bye.
Спортивно-технічний клуб «Зона», головний організатор за підтримки Бучанської міської ради, Міжнародної мотоциклетної федерації, Федерації мотоциклетного спорту України та Міністерства.
Williamson is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupilis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin van Lukenes certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable.
Транснаціональна корпорація виробників мотоциклів, велосипедів та спортивних автомобілів Трансенполь та Матігофен. Суперрегіональний торгово-розважальний центр найбільший український мегамол «Лавіна». Квітковий магазин «Ла Букет» «Автофлауер Квітів». Експерт з виробництва полімерної продукції